As an ajumma K-pop fan, I've cycled through a lot of bands. Shinhwa, Fly to the Sky, One Time, Epic High, Big Bang, 2PM, Beast, My Ultimate Bias, going to BTS to sort of finish it off for the older generations. And then I recently just jumped on Stray Kids because of my niece. And then right after that, Enhypen, just for a small short stint, because their music is very catchy. So I just wanted to weigh in on Heeseung leaving Enhypen, which was, to me, very obvious. Mostly, oh, I forgot the biggest one. How could I? TVXQ. Mostly obvious because I've been through so many cycles of boy bands in K-pop. And the trend that I have seen with members wanting to leave the group, it does come down to they've outgrown the oppressive idol system that these companies have designed for them. It's different for girls, and that's a whole nother video. But for guys, for the boys in these bands, they can't or they don't want to keep up with the system that is meant to exploit their looks and their work to women, to girls. Because a lot of that is you're sacrificing your own musical tastes, musical endeavors, and your own like growth as a human, so that you can upkeep whatever design that is from the company that you're in. It's a super double-edged sword, because if you don't keep up that design of the companies, you're just not gonna see the success as far as like financially as you want. If you don't play into that, we have our own reality type game show on YouTube, we jump on lives and we're talking and interacting with our fans, we keep up this image where we're a tight brotherhood when some of our personalities clash, we're super clean as far as like, you know, anything personal, like from tattoos to smoking to drinking to dating. If you don't keep that stuff up, then you're not going to present the right image for that company, for your group, that it becomes like super constricting. And so, but if you don't have that, you're just not going to find success, because girls typically, apparently we eat that up. And you do grow this weird parasocial relationship with these idols where, because their lives are documented via the YouTube channels and their game reality shows and their vlogs and their lives and their social media presence, like you feel like you journey with them, and so you become very attached. And without that, you're just not gonna have the success. Your music might be great or whatever, but like K-idols, what draws us to them is this idea, this concept of journeying with them. And once upon a time, I will say that I do feel it was authentic. Authentic enough, right? Where before technology, a lot of these groups for in Korean entertainment, it was hard to get out there if you weren't actually on those music shows or the variety shows, and not everyone got a spotlight. So a lot of it still was music centered. You had to have actually like good catchy music to catch the wave of success. And so I would say that back in my generation, from like end of first gen into second into third, where I was forced to grow up because I, had to do real life, that was still music centered. I would say that moving the end of third, moving into fourth gen, now fifth gen, music as a whole across the globe is already on a decline. I noticed after COVID, during COVID was probably peak, like we're gonna make music because that's all we have time to do. So the artists were actually like working on the craft, I think, of music, and they felt so compelled to because of our circumstances, nationwide. Like we're stuck. Like is this doom and gloom for the rest of our lives? And so I think that artists focus on making music. And so in like 2021, when we kind of were starting to come out of COVID and these artists started releasing their music in 2021 that they made in 2020 out of reflection, out of desperation, out of like wanting to pick up the world because we had been stuck in a funk for like a year plus. There was some really like beautiful music that was released in 2020, 2021. And then the drop off, weirdly, also because of COVID and the rise of TikTok during COVID, there was a pretty steep drop off from 2022 on, where I haven't encountered music like I did once upon a time. And again, that was because of COVID and TikTok and just like the contentification of art, that there was such a steep drop off where I hardly find music now that is like to my liking, to my old millennial ear, where it's like actually like a verse and a pre-chorus and a chorus and then a bridge and then a, where it's like this beautiful like journey of a song. So my ear is like searching for that sound and for that design inside of a song. And I'm just not getting it anymore because Gen Z, Gen Alpha, and this new generation of like music makers they just want this constant loop, so that they clock it at 2:30 so that it can recycle, so that they get paid on these music apps. And so I felt like from 2022 on, the music game has changed because my ear is not picking up on that journey of a song anymore. I'm not saying that was like the perfect design, but I'm saying it worked for like a good century. And now it has changed, and I just don't like this looping sound. And so along with worldwide, K-pop started going in that direction too. And unfortunately, I hate to do comparison because people hate comparison when we're talking about like K-pop and these K-pop groups, but you got to do it. Like we did it once upon a time as like the ajummas now, right? But once upon a time, it was actually like healthy comparison. It wasn't so much a rivalry. Like we saw boy and girl groups like do collaborations like in our time, and now like you couldn't catch them doing that at all. They had no. And so now we're in a place where music is just trying to loop. And unfortunately, Enhypen was a victim to that. The craziest thing is that they have the vocal talent, all of them, to move beyond this trendy sound. I think, because 4th gen is not my gen, Stray Kids and Enhypen, they're obviously the two sort of top groups along with ATEEZ, but they're like ATEEZ and Stray Kids come before Enhypen. And so ATEEZ kind of found its groove. Stray Kids is obviously the most popular group out of 4th gen, because they were able to go international. And then Enhypen, they're 7 very beautiful young men. But they are also 7 unique sounding voices who can sing high, who have range. Obviously Heeseung is the most vocally strong out of all of them. He's very consistent. Jay is right there with him. They're so good. Oh my gosh, their range is like, woo, super good. But I would say that Heeseung is so freaking consistent with his range and the notes that he can hold, and just super talented. And he has the ear for that too. And Jay's like such a close second, where his vocal range, oh my gosh, is so beautiful. And I love his voice. His voice is my favorite because it reminds me of classic like American pop boy bands. Like he has that sound. And so it's so unfortunate that they really capped the sound of Enhypen and just kept giving them these thematic elements to their group, where I know they did this vampire thing, which like kind of weirded me out. Like, why would you do that? This like boyfriend type of sound or look to them, which is weird. Which is weird. Like, they make very catchy music, they do, and I really enjoy listening to them because they sound really good and like mainstream. But like, they capped them so hard because their voices were ready to like push past what they kept giving them. And the only reason why Stray Kids is at a freaking high, and I don't think that they're gonna come down for a minute, even with BTS coming back, Stray Kids is at a high because they keep growing in their music, because they keep creating their own music. I have a whole thing about why and how Stray Kids found success, when I think, honestly, JYP kind of just threw them out, like the man JYP kind of just threw them out there because he started seeing the dip in music and was like, oh my gosh, like we're at a standstill with music. And like, these Stray Kids who, you know, don't look the way that Korean society accepts men to look, don't necessarily have like that mainstream sound. I'm just gonna, you know, cast them out there and see what happens. I think he took a huge gamble. I think he did see their talent too, but he also understood the landscape of K-pop, and he just, like, JYP was starting to like super dip with 2 p.m. Dropping off, honestly, after J Park left. Come on, right? Come on. And just threw Stray Kids out there and was like, honestly, it was in Bangchan's hands, in 3RACHA's hands. And they, like they said in their like winning speech for this past year, we just kept making the music that we wanted to make. We just went for it. And that is how they captured all of us. Even this Ajumma, who I took my niece and myself to our first K-pop concert ever. Her faves are Stray Kids, right? And then I was like, dang, these guys are freaking talented as heck. Very committed to their art, their craft. Like, you could feel it watching them live. And that's why I was like, dude, I have to respect these guys, because I used to say, like, their music is so intense, and it is. But again, I have reasons why. This is another video. But then, like, when they were performing, like, I just immediate, like, respect for each and every member of that group, and for their live ability, but also their, like, ability to command, like, their presence on stage with, like, the audience. And so it was real art. It was real music. And that's why I believe that Stray Kids went up. And I think they're still on the ascension, and they're in a spot where I think they're very much like BTS too, where the next sound that they come out with, like with BTS's return, I think Bangchan through Racha, they know that they have to up their game and show their growth. I think they went really hard at the end here, not because they're like, oh my gosh, BTS is gone and now we get a chance to, you know, but I do think that they recognize that, like, now is the time to capitalize. And they did. Like, all of their shows, one of the greatest tours, K-pop tours ever. They just made a bunch of, like, sales on their movie debut. And so they capitalized, but it was because they stayed true to music. And now let's talk about Enhypen. Enhypen could never. And I don't think it's because they didn't want to. You can tell that these guys are talented, and they love music. But for B-Lift or Hybe or whoever kept them pigeonholed to this idea of these 7 gorgeous, like, young men. And they're very beautiful. And I think it was Heeseung who said when asked the question, like, well, what do you think, fans think of us, of the band, like, first off? And he was the one that said, all of us are very good looking, which is true, which is kind of rare for a K-pop group, honestly, because, you know, you don't have everybody looking like freaking beautiful inside of a group. You have, like, one visual, but for them, all 7 of them look like gorgeous beings, like real princes, like, honestly. And I know that's, like, the look that they were going for, but I could tell that not only Heeseung, but all of them wanted to grow and move away from that. But for whatever reason, B-Lift, maybe, I don't know, their company, they wouldn't let them move past that. And that started becoming an issue for, I personally think it's not just Heeseung, but, like, honestly, like, all of them. They want to grow in music. They want to show a more authentic, you know, self inside of their artistry, their craft, but they're just so capped. And Heeseung, because he is so vocally freaking talented, and musically, like, he wants to express the way that he actually wants to express. And you could start to see inside of their YouTube channel, everything, him just not being a part of any of their vlogs, him just, like, not active. You could tell that he was, like, not about it anymore. He's always been aloof, I would argue, from the stuff that I've seen. And I was an English teacher, so I know how to read in between the lines, okay? I taught it. And off of body language, you could just tell that that was not what he wanted to do, where he wanted to be. Even, like, if you look at Stray Kids YouTube, right? Their reality game show, whatever. You can see Bangchan being very, very distant from all of the activities, because he's, like, a musical, like, genius. Like, he wants to do that, but he knows that, you know, this is the reality of K-pop, you know. And so he's there, but he's, like, not there. And that's what I started feeling from Heeseung. The fact that he didn't even want to be leader I mean, when you're the most talented, and I understood all of the rationale why, but when I learned that Jungwon was the leader and he's like one of the youngest, I was like, ooh, and I actually think he's really good as the leader. I feel like he's a good guy overall. I don't know these guys, but he has that vibe. But I was still shocked that the oldest and the most talented would turn that down and they would ultimately choose somebody else. I personally would have chose Jake or Jay, but I'll give Jungwon credit because I think he gets along with all of them, and I think he's like this warm personality who is willing to take on like responsibility like that. So ultimately, like, I'm glad that he's the leader, but I would have chosen somebody else, like somebody older. It doesn't have to come down to age, I get that, but Jake and Jay would have been my choices. And so I think he recognizes that he is that much more talented than not only his members, but also a lot of the vocals around K-pop right now. And he is, like, he could out-sing almost anybody, okay? He's just that talented, and his voice is very unique as well. He's so good. Do I think he's gonna find success as a solo artist? To be honest, no. Like, look at what I've gone through. Okay, Shinhwa is still together, right? Some of them did solo projects. TVXQ broke up. DBSK broke up. All 5 of them were like power vocals, but clearly the ones who left were the stronger ones. Just personality-wise and vocally. And then you come down to like Big Bang, right? Eventually, all broken up. The 3 that are left, probably the strongest. And then my favorite, and like I said earlier, 2 p.m. J Park left. I'm like, come on. JYP created that group sort of around, you know. Okay, and he found success, and now Longshot, the group that he is building, they're doing really well. Very, very well. Yeah, 2 p.m. dropped off, and then for me, Beast, oh my gosh, the 6 guys, vocally freaking talented as heck. I would say that they actually mirror, Enhypen actually mirrors the vocals of Beast. And then obviously, one by one, they started moving out, okay, for their own reasons, due to scandal. And now you have the 4 strongest are still together. But it's never been the same. Like, Highlight is not the same as like Beast for me. Beast, oh my gosh, their 6 vocals and their presence and grind, super, super good. And then BTS, like, I jumped on BTS during COVID, and they were like my coping mechanism. That's a story in itself too. But they made it because of their grind and their devotion to the art of music. That's the only way that you can find success, not only in K-pop, but like in music. If you're a part of a group, is if you remain devoted to growing as an artist in your music. And I think Enhypen has too many members who actually love the art of music. And K-pop is not allowing them to grow inside of that. And I can only imagine it's so constricting. The only reason why I believe Stray Kids will continue to make it and stay together is because they are allowed. And in fact, they paved their own freaking way musically. Even BTS, who has like written like stuff and has like a couple of them can actually like create and produce music, they are not alone inside of that process. But I would argue that 3 Ratchet, when you look at the credits and whatever and their recording sessions, you know that they have the ultimate like check. This is final. This is what we're gonna release to the world. That's not BTS. Like BTS has their own, and it's a whole video of itself. But Only Stray Kids has ever really been allowed to design their own music, and they're still stuck in K-pop, but I think they will last because they get to choose their music, their sound, the stuff that they release is what they want to release. And unfortunately, Enhypen has just been so capped there by Believe, by Hybe, by the K-pop idol model that I can only imagine, because those guys are talented and they want so badly to own their sound. And so to me, this is a failure of, I would say, the company in particular, not recognizing that these guys are too talented vocally and musically to keep up this image of like vampires or like just pretty boys, when they actually are very super talented. And so I have seen with my eyes and just reading between the lines that Heeseung is so over it. I don't think he like doesn't like love the guys or, you know, is grateful for what started all of this, but I think it was something that he had not imagined would keep being the same, you know, like 6 or 7 or whatever years in. And so I think he just hit a point of frustration. And I know that what they're saying is that like the company kind of forced him to do this. I don't think so. I think he was just like, you guys, like, I'm unwell. And I think the company actually was responsive to that, like, oh, he's that unwell, he's not gonna make our Enhypen group projects, you know, moving together, he's not gonna move that forward because he's that like unwell with his state, or the state of like Enhypen, that he's only gonna hurt Enhypen. But also he's such a talent that like he could see success and he's still under contract, so we got to work something out. So I think it was a point of desperation for Heeseung, and I don't think it was the company forcing him to, but they did offer an option, and he was like, I took their option, and here we are. And so I feel for the guys. This has come up questions before, but I don't think they're actually super close. I think they're, you know, sometimes you're more co-workers than like brothers or anything. And I think that's more them. Whereas some of these other groups, you know, that like the grind has made them like really like tight knit. They just happen to fall in the generation, even a couple years after Stray Kids, where social media, blah, 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 but everything was starting to like switch and flip. And so they are young. And so I don't think they had that grind brotherhood with them, even with the show. That was still like very contentious. And then they, you know, were grouped together. And so I feel for them because I know that they are close. I feel for the guys who are still left. Thankfully, they're all still very talented. If you think about it, like their songs kept stopping at 2:30. Like that's not enough time for 7 vocalists to freaking shine in their songs. If you had a 3:30 song or a 4-minute song, that would be enough time. But here we are, and I think it's like the right thing for Heeseung and the group. I think that Enhypen will actually be able to fly from here, to be honest, if the 6 of them still want to be inside of this group, if they all choose to continue together as 6, because I don't think any of them are gonna find success as a solo artist unless you become like super independent. Like I could see each of them finding like a super independent success in like small scale, because if you think like Zayn and One Direction, popular but like smaller, you know. Only Harry was like I don't think Heeseung will do that to be honest, because his personality is not like like friendly enough, is not like welcoming enough to like command that, where he's very strong like vocally and everything, but he just doesn't have a presence about him that would help him succeed as a solo artist unless he's like super independent. He's not even like BI, who makes his own music and who has super command of dance and vocals and networking, and that like Heeseung's more like reserved and kind of like, and so I don't think he's gonna find the solo success. And I don't think for a sec I thought Jay would be the one who would like who would eventually, but then when I saw the dynamics of him and the group, I'm like, oh, he really cares about them, and he like really loves them. And him and Jungwon are obviously besties, like, out in real life. And so the only one that I think would find, like, even moderate, like, solo success is Jake, to be honest. Because he has a certain voice and sound that I can tell what, like, he's going for. And if he were to be an independent, like, solo artist, he would find a nice little, like, niche for himself. But still, it would not be, none of them solo would replicate Enhypen success at all. They're better together than apart. But the music has to change, and the company has to allow them to grow. And so it's unfortunate, but they are victims of this K-pop, this very vicious K-pop system. And here we are. Yeah, all my boy bands are broken up, and 4th Gen just got their first freaking major one. So I wish Heeseung and Enhypen especially the best. Yeah, and hopefully they'll get to learn and grow from this finally. Yeah, it's about time. Maybe they'll actually get to shine in their songs now. And now, as you all know, once a member leaves, the music is reflective of that. So I hope this gives them a chance to be way more vulnerable and a part of the music production, to express what they're feeling because of this, you know, sad departure of Heeseung. Yeah, I went on forever, but this is from an ajumma K-pop fan. I hope you caught something that resonated with you, or you learned something, or you, I don't know, just show a little bit of like grace during this time to Heeseung plus Enhypen, plus even, weirdly enough, these systems that South Korea has designed for capital for success. Opportunities are super limited in some ways, and when you look at their society, and this is a formula that worked for entertainment in Korea, and so the likelihood of them changing that up, probably unlikely, but hopefully Enhypen can learn and grow from this. And I hope that the 6 that remain stay, because I will, please. So yeah, thank you.